Welcome to WestfordCAT's weekly news show. I'm Alex Svensson. Fall has just begun, and we've got plenty of news stories for you. Let's jump right into this week's top stories. The Massachusetts State Legislature voted to pass Supplemental Budget Bill H4530 on September 18th, which provided an additional $234 million in direct funding for hospitals and community health centers across the state. Among the senators to vote in favor of the bill was Senator John Cronin, who represents Westford. Our healthcare system has been under strain from a hostile federal government that puts hospitals and patients in a no-win situation because of funding delays and Medicaid cuts, John Cronin said. This funding bridges the gap for hospitals like UMass Memorial in Leominster and Haywood in Gardner so they can focus on what matters, providing quality care to our community. According to Cronin, the $234 million will go to supporting hospitals and community health centers battling rising costs and unreliable support from the federal government for longstanding programs. Lawmakers who voted in favor of the bill pointed to the growing gap in available funds and high costs of services for the Health Safety Net program, which funds acute care hospitals and community health centers for necessary services provided to low-income, uninsured, and underinsured Massachusetts residents. As the bill was approved by both the House and the Senate, it's now up to Governor Maura Healey to approve or veto it. A Westford public safety dispatcher received the 911 Lifesaver Commendation on September 19th for her life-saving actions last month. Telecommunicator Rebecca Michaels was presented with the 911 Lifesaver Commendation, which recognizes and applauds a dispatcher who provides life-saving assistance over the phone. Presenting the commendation to Michaels was Erica Crawford, the Massachusetts State 911 Department Public Education Coordinator. In addition to Crawford, members of the Westford Police and Fire Department, including Police Chief Mark Chambers, Fire Chief Mike Dennehy, as well as Public Safety Communications Operation Administrator Andrew Sherman and Town Manager Kristen Lass, all attended the ceremony recognizing Michaels' actions. Michaels received the commendation for her actions on Sunday, August 17th, when she received a 911 call around 9:35 a.m. from a woman stating her partner was in cardiac arrest. In response to the woman's call, Michael quickly initiated the emergency medical dispatch and provided clear and effective CPR instructions to the woman on the phone. The woman continued performing CPR following Michael's instructions until first responders arrived at the scene. Telecommunicator Michaels' confidence, swift actions, and clear instructions provided the best outcome in this situation, the Westford Police Department said in a statement. Thank you, Telecommunicator Michaels, for being this vital piece of the chain of survival on that morning. The Westford Planning Board met on September 15th to review the latest round of hearings on the 37 Powers Road housing proposal. Other items reviewed during the meeting included utility projects, zoning amendments, and featured decisions on subdivisions. The 37 Powers Road housing proposal continued from the August 18th Planning Board meeting, and it again became the highlight of the evening, with attorney Melissa Robbins and the team presenting revisions that have been made since August. The project team members, Nick Campanelli and Ian Remy from Copley Wolf, started the presentation with an overview of the redesigned parking areas among some other key changes, which include redesigned parking areas, the relocation of indoor amenities between two proposed clubhouses, expanded open space, connectivity commitments to extend sidewalks to Trailside Way, and funding additional pedestrian connections to local trails, as well as the addition of public EV charging stations and solar panels on 50% of the garage roofs. Also during the meeting, the board approved final decisions for 478 Groton Road and approved a stormwater management permit for New England Power Company related to utility infrastructure after addressing environmental concerns. Finally, the Works Cafe received administrative approval to install an exterior walk-in cooler. Last Thursday, the Westford Republican Town Committee held a vigil as a tribute to conservative media figure Charlie Kirk, who was killed by a gunman on September 10th while speaking at an event at Utah Valley University. I spoke to attendees at the event to hear what they had to say about Charlie Kirk's life and legacy.
The America, God shed His grace on me.
Dozens of people braved the pouring rain last Thursday, coming out to honor the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk. Kirk, a conservative media figure and political activist who co-founded the nonprofit conservative advocacy group known as Turning Point, died at the age of 31 after suffering from a fatal gunshot wound while hosting a Turning Point event at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah on September 10th. Vigils and commemorations dedicated to Kirk were held across the United States by his supporters following his death, including a special honor from President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance, both of whom Kirk supported. Last Thursday's vigil was hosted by the Westford Republican Town Committee and organized by its chairwoman, Kathy Lynch.
Fellow patriots, we are here to honor and pay tribute to Charlie Kirk, who was tragically killed on September 10th by a heartless murderer. It was incredibly sad for me and all of you who chose to pay tribute to him today.
WestfordCAT spoke to Lynch and asked her why she decided to hold the vigil and why she felt that it was important.
Right, well, Charlie Kirk died on September 10th, and there are members of the community who wanted to pay respects to Charlie. And so one person in particular approached me and said, you know, we really need to do this. And I heard other people as well wanted to do this, but no one was kind of getting the ball rolling with it. So I said, okay, we can do that, and here it is.
The vigil included speeches from Lynch, Republican Town Committee member Liz Sherry, a sermon from pastor and evangelist Reverend Stephen Kraft, as well as performances of the Star-Spangled Banner, God Bless America, and Amazing Grace. After the speeches, members of the audience, which included both Westford residents and people from outside of town, were invited to speak. One resident that spoke was Michael Byrne, who said he has attended every vigil he can find in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island since Kirk's death, and hopes to raise awareness and spread his legacy.
All right, so I haven't really been a fan of Charlie Kirk that long, a couple years, but I've been a long-time Trump supporter since 2016, and I've been watching, Charlie Kirk's debates. I never actually got a chance to go to one of his events, but when he died, I feel like it traumatized me, and I was trying to think of the best way to honor him. I tried to go to Arizona, but I couldn't get a plane ticket, so I've been traveling to every city, in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, doing my best trying to honor him, holding signs, talking to press and everybody, I want to do my best because I feel sorry for his family, his children, and been traveling all over for him.
That's it for our top stories. Now let's turn it over to our reporter Emily Collins, who recently spoke with the co-owner of a new coffee shop here in Westford.
Located on 129 Littleton Road, Littletown Coffee Company was opened in May after co-founder Casey Winner decided it was time to turn his popular coffee truck into a fully fledged business. We spoke with Casey and asked him how he started his business, why he made the decision to open in Westford, and what makes his coffee unique.
I recommend any drink. There's not really a specific one you can't go wrong with. Any drink, it's all gonna taste super good.
Littletown Coffee Company began as a coffee truck in 2021 after Casey and his wife came across a coffee truck while they were on vacation on Martha's Vineyard, inspiring them to open up their own coffee truck in Westford.
We'd always like the idea of when you go on vacation and you go to a spot and you go to a coffee shop, a lot of our favorite memories could be tied back to going to one of those shops. So we said if we could bring a slice of that back to the community, that could be kind of where we could grow our business. So we were on Martha's Vineyard in 2020 and we came across a coffee trailer, and my wife looked at me and said, you know what, that's it. Let's do it.
After a few years running the coffee truck, Casey decided it was best for his company to open up a brick and mortar business with the goal of offering his specialized coffee and other seasonal drinks to the Westford community.
I think we always knew that we wanted to settle in a brick and mortar somewhere in the area, and it so happened to be Westford. So we've been open now for 3 months. We opened in May of 2025, and we've been rolling ever since.
Casey says Littletown Coffee Company is unique as they do not strive to be another breakfast cafe, but their focus is primarily on perfecting the best cup of coffee in town and focusing on delivering high-quality seasonal drinks and a friendly experience to Westford residents.
I think that a lot of folks focus on sort of a wide array of offerings, like they're doing breakfast sandwiches, they're trying to do lunch, they're trying to do even dinner, drink service. You know, we focus on pretty much like one thing. It's like, can we give you the best cup of coffee that we think is in town?
Also last week, over 200 runners, cyclists, and families gathered for the 15th annual Run and Ride for Live event. The community event is dedicated to honoring the memory of Olivia Marchand and raising money to support survivors of domestic violence. Hosted by the Live for Live Foundation, the event was held at the 4-H Fairgrounds on September 14th. Participants chose from a 23-mile bike ride, a 10K, a 5K, or a 1-mile family fun run. Live for Live was founded by Jody Marchand after her daughter, Olivia, a 16-year-old Westford Academy student, was killed in a domestic violence incident. The organization has become well known in the Westford and Chelmsford communities, raising money for local programs and using events like the one on September 14th to bring awareness to domestic violence. Events like the Run and Ride raise awareness through advertising for the event and speaking with the community leading up to it. The money raised from the event helps Marchand educate others about warning signs of domestic violence. Now, over to you, Alex.
The town of Westford recently welcomed new treasurer and collector, Hannah Moeller, who began her new role on August 11th, following the retirement of former treasurer and collector Christine Collins on August 8th, who served the town for 14 years. Hannah recently served as treasurer and collector for the town of Groton, bringing over 13 years of municipal experience to Westford. We sat down with Hannah for a one-on-one interview and asked her about her experience and new role in Westford and what she hopes to see in the future of the town.
My name is Alex Svensson. I'm a reporter here with WestfordCAT. Joining us today in the studio is Hannah Moeller, Westford's new treasurer and collector. So to start off, Hannah, I want to ask you, with all your past experience working in municipal finance in Groton, what inspired you to make the decision to come to Westford?
Well, first and foremost, Christine Collins and I have known each other for a very long time. Christine actually worked in Groton prior to working in Westford. And coming here felt very easy because of that. It felt like I knew how the office would be set up. I knew that it would be well run. And we'd always stayed in contact, and she definitely reached out when she was making the decision to retire.
So what would you say you find the most fulfilling, and what's your favorite part of your job? And then would you say is the most difficult part?
They are the same piece. Tax collection is absolutely the most difficult and also the most rewarding. I think that most people think of a tax collector and they think of something negative. And yes, I can understand why people see it that way. However, we have the great opportunity of seeing people face to face and helping them to find the ways that we can relieve some of that pressure.
And is the town of Westford that you know of right now, is the town currently facing any financial challenges? And if so, what is being done to overcome them?
Westford, as I said, is very well run. We are a AAA bond rated community, which means that we have a great credit rating. We are running things very well. We have great financial players in place. And as of right now, we're not facing an override this year that we know of yet. Obviously, we haven't gotten fully through the budget process for next year, but things are looking all right, taking into consideration that most of the Commonwealth is facing some sort of struggle.
Okay. And then is there any change that you hope to bring coming to Westford with all your experience in Groton and municipal finance in general? Is there anything you think you would like to help improve in Westford regarding your position?
Coming into any new situation, I really like to look for any changes we can make for efficiency's sake. So that's really what I'll be looking at over the next year to see if there's anywhere where we can make something run smoother, make ourselves more public facing, more accessible to the residents here so that it's easier on them to do the things like pay taxes, which most people find kind of hard to do and not love it doing it.
All right, Hannah, thank you so much for joining us today here at WestfordCAT. It's been a pleasure to have you on our show.
Thank you for having me.
Now let's take a look at this week's weather forecast. Following a wet and rainy stretch last week, this week is looking much drier, with some clouds to start the week before clearing up to mostly sunny days. Temperatures will be warmer than average for this time of year at the start of the week on Monday and Tuesday, with highs in the 70s, before dropping to relatively normal temperatures for this time of year Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, with highs in the low to mid 60s. The following weekend is expected to warm up a bit again. Also, with the beginning of fall, it is expected that the leaves will start to begin to change colors. According to the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation, the peak time for foliage around the Westford area will be the second and third week of October, depending on the temperature and weather conditions. This fall was also expected to be warmer than average, potentially impacting the fall foliage, resulting in a later peak time. Now let's have a look at our sports for this week. The Westford Academy Ghost football team are hoping for a win when they take on the Lincoln Sudbury Warriors on Friday for their second away game of the season. Meanwhile, the New England Patriots will face the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo on Saturday, who are currently at the top of the AFC East. That's all for this week's edition of WestfordCAT News. We'll return on October 5th for more stories. I'm Alex Svensson, and thank you for watching WestfordCAT.